Not so long ago, lone travelers and remote families were vulnerable to nature's harshest predators, including the wolf. While these animals often avoided humans, desperation and hunger can drive them to kill. The following historical accounts published in newspapers between the 1800s and 1930s describe the tragic fates of people believed to have been attacked and eaten by wolves. Let's begin with an account from out of Missouri in 1910. It was reported that a woodsman had been attacked and devoured by wolves. The newspaper article tells us, James Smith, a woodsman, was eaten by wolves in the woods after fighting a desperate battle for his life. The wolves attacked him while he was alone, awaiting the return of a brother. When the latter returned, he found his brother's bones in the center of a circle of 5 dead wolves, while an empty repeating rifle showed that he had been overpowered before he could reload the weapon. Now, one of the most heartbreaking accounts was published in 1908 and tells of a father who discovered wolves tearing apart his missing son in northern Minnesota. The report reads, a number of boys were in the habit of going to school and returning together, and one child, a boy of 8, was kept after school one day, necessitating his return home alone. He failed to reach home, and as darkness settled down, his father started with a lantern to hunt for him. He heard the growling of wolves not far distant. Going into the brush to where the noise had come from, he found his son dead, mangled, torn, and nearly half devoured, with 2 large gray wolves standing over him. The animals retreated on his approach, and the remains of the boy were taken to his home for burial. As we can all imagine, children walking home from school were very vulnerable. A tragic report from France, 1914, reads, the long-continued cold, especially in the central districts of France, is bringing numbers of wolves, frantic with hunger, out of the woods. A little girl, returning from school, was devoured by wild animals, the searching parties finding only a torn dress and a few bones. Hunting parties are being organized everywhere. Of course, winter is rough on us all, and especially wildlife. In 1911, it was reported that wolves had grown so desperate with hunger that they approached the doors of isolated mining cabins. The Evening Star reported, several residents of the west coast of Prince of Wales Island have been killed and eaten by wolves during the last year. A visitor to the region said the wolves, having killed off all the deer, have become desperate with hunger and now come up to the doors of miners' cabins. Miners weren't the only hard workers being attacked by wolves. There are numerous reports of trappers being attacked and devoured. For example, this report from 1885. The secretary of the Chicago Lumber Company just returned from the logging camp near Metropolitan, Michigan, and says that the night before he left the camp, the mercury had dropped to 43 below zero. This was the climax of 4 days of very extreme weather. That night, an old trapper and hunter named Tom was returning from hunting and was killed and eaten by wolves within 2 miles of camp. The wolves there are more numerous and bolder than usual on account of the scarcity of small game. His friends, searching for him next morning, found his closely gnawed bones, 13 dead wolves, lying near him pierced by his rifle balls, and his Winchester rifle by his side, with 1 chamber still loaded. From out of Michigan, 1912, we find that travel by skis was just as dangerous as traveling by foot. A report reads, Mrs. Selma McKinnon, wife of a farmer living near Alston, is believed to have been killed and eaten by wolves. Last night she set out on skis from a neighboring farm to return home, but did not arrive, and today searchers found her skis and parts of her clothing near tracks indicating the recent presence of a large pack of wolves. And finally, we come to this horrifying news article reported in 1932, where a mother and her children froze to death and were then eaten by a pack of wolves. From the Coolidge Examiner. Frozen to death in the Durango Mountains and their bodies eaten by wolves was the fate of 8 members of the Juan Marino family, which recently left Miami for Mexico. Mr. and Mrs. Marino and their 7 children were motoring to their old home near Durango when they ran out of gas. Leaving his family in the car, Mr. Marino started afoot on a 15-mile journey to obtain gasoline. In the meantime, a blizzard came up, and the mother and children were frozen. When Mr. Marino returned to the car after the blizzard abated, he found that the bodies of his wife and children had been eaten by wolves. And that is all I have for you today. I hope you enjoyed this video. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and as always, take care.